Here are 3 ways to improve your mental health as an entrepreneur, even if you've gone to therapy. So I'm a licensed therapist, but also I'm an entrepreneur. And one of the people that I focus on working with the most is entrepreneurs. And day in and day out, I get to see how dozens, if not hundreds of entrepreneurs and what they do to help their mental health, but also hurt their mental health. And in this podcast episode, I'm gonna give you tips that you can use right now, even if you're going to therapy, but also if you're not considering going to therapy, right? Because you do not need to go to a therapist to improve your mental health. Like if you're not considering going to therapy, then these 3 tips you absolutely need to learn. And the last one is an absolute game changer. So here's the thing, guys. When I started my business, so I left the whole, 9-to-5 gig, started my own business, man, it was a lot of uphill battles. There are a lot of things that I faced that I did not predict. One of those things being not having enough leads. For some reason, I just thought, hey, the world will just give me some leads, right? Someone will give me money to help them with their mental health because it's important. But here's the thing, guys. It's not only good enough that you're good at what you do or that what you do is a noble thing or a good thing, right? But it's important to know how to market. And if you do not know how to do that, man, it's going to be a tough world for you. But outside of all of that, my mental health started to go down the drain. I started to get depressed, started to get anxious, started to think, did I make the right decision? All this stuff started running through my mind. And at the same time, I needed to be a good therapist. So I needed to be able to focus on my clients. I needed to be able to focus on my family, right? Like my mind just didn't have the luxury of being depressed because I needed to perform at a high level in all aspects of my life. So there's a few things that I did, and a few of these things I'm definitely going to share with you guys because once you learn these things, it will definitely help you when it comes to your mental health. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into point number 1. But before you even do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you join this channel and be a part of a community of entrepreneurs that are killing it, and they're killing it in their businesses because they're putting their number 1 asset first. And that's their mental health. So with that being said, let's get to the first point. All right, so this first point is all about prioritizing your purpose over productivity. So the way I learned this was actually in my 9-to-5, but also it translated into my business. So with my 9-to-5, I remember I was working in the public schools and I was working with a whole lot of students. But the thing was I was doing a lot of paperwork, right? Doing paperwork, answering emails, answering voicemails, right? Like all the things that I didn't want to do, all the things that I didn't learn as a student in college. One of the things that I absolutely loved doing, though, was speaking directly to students, right? That's that whole counseling piece that I love. And what I realized is that when my work wasn't reflecting that, I was feeling depressed. I was feeling like, man, I don't want to do this, right? Wasn't feeling motivated. So what I started to do was to take that 20% and make it the main thing. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When I first got to school, it was my job to make sure that I was touching some type of student, right? Whether it was speaking to them in the hallway, going to a study hall class, whatever it was, I needed to be in front of students and literally changing lives, right? Directly with them. Because if I wasn't doing that, I was probably doing stuff that I didn't want to do, right? And some of this stuff, yes, it was productive, but it wasn't the stuff that made me happy. And as a result, my mental health started to decline. So what I did was I took this and I applied it to my business. I had to ask myself, instead of focusing on the money when it comes to getting my clients, right, for therapy and all that stuff, and it's the same thing for you, right? Instead of focusing on your coaching clients, right, I need you to ask yourself, who are the people that I absolutely love working with the most? What type of jobs do I love doing the absolute most when it comes to my business, right? Because here's the thing, there's so many parts of your business that you can either outsource, but also there's so many other clients that you can work with that are your dream clients that are willing to pay you money, right? For people that have this, let's say, scarcity mindset, they'll just work with anybody. And that's who I was. I remember I used to work with people that were, let's say, man, it's teenagers, right? Let's just use that one, right? There are times I was working with 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, right? I've even worked with a 10-year-old. And I remember sitting in those sessions thinking like, yo, what am I doing, right? This is not my ideal client. My ideal clients are entrepreneurs and working professionals. And once I figured that out, I changed all of my marketing and it was focused on those 2 demographics. And when I did that, that's when the leads started to come in. And that's when I started to feel more happier and fulfilled within my business. And when I did that, my happiness is shot through the roof. So what I'm telling you in this first point, make sure that you're prioritizing purpose over productivity. I know there's a lot of things in your business that you could do. I know there's a lot of ways that you could make money, but I need you to focus on purpose first. When you do that, trust me, the money will come. And that's how you work from an abundance mindset. But what's more important than that is that your mental health, it will go through the room. It will go through the roof. So trust me on this, guys. Purpose over productivity. Main point number 2, and this one's a great one as well. So what you need to do here to help you with your mental health without seeing a therapist is to make sure that you're redefining what happiness looks like. Okay, so redefine what your happiness look like, and go a little bit deeper with this too. I want you to even redefine what success looks like, because sometimes success for you guys may be dependent, or your happiness may be dependent on how much success you have, right? So this may be, how much money did I make this month, right? How many people subscribe to my newsletter, right? How many people are subscribed to my YouTube channel, right? Like, you're looking at all these different metrics. But what if I said your happiness could and should be redefined into something that's maybe a little bit smaller, something that's more so within your control, something that you can guarantee each and every day? Give you a great example. One may say your happiness should be redefined as how many people you've touched, right? How many content pieces you were able to put out. It's not about how many people watched it, liked it, subscribed to it. It's all about what you're able to do. I'll even go as far as to say this, your happiness should not have anything to do with money. And it's like, money is important, right? I'm like, yeah, it's important, but it shouldn't be everything, right? That's a piece of the puzzle. If you focus on, and I'll actually give you a quote from Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar once said, you can have everything in the world that you want if you're first willing to give people what they want. So be more obsessed about your customers, your clients, right? Your subscribers. Focus on their problems and what they want. And what they want should be a passion that you have. And that goes back to my first point. When you do that, trust me, you have everything that you're looking for, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you guys about a video that I watched that's gonna help you with this point. So I saw this on TikTok, and they said, imagine you only had 2 weeks to live, but you couldn't tell anybody. How would your calendar change? Think about that. How would your calendar change if you knew you only had 2 weeks to live and you couldn't tell anyone about it? I know how my calendar would change. It'll be nothing but, time with my family, to be honest, right? So that's me going back to South Carolina, seeing them, visiting them, and maybe taking all of them if we're traveling somewhere else. But that's what happiness would look like for me. So what I want you guys to do is make sure that you're redefining and you have a good definition of what happiness looks like. Because for a lot of people, they have a lot of conditions on their happiness. And when you do that, it makes it very hard to obtain, right? It's kind of like a contract. It's like you're only given these things in the contract once all 10 or 50 of these conditions are met. And that makes it very hard to become or to get the happiness that you're looking for. So again, redefine happiness for you. So my third and final point, one that I absolutely love. This is a great one. It's a game changer. It's one that actually turned everything around for me. And to this day, I'm still reaping benefits from it. And it was like 4 years ago. So if you see behind me, you see these books. For some of you, you may recognize these books if you're a part of a community called the Funnel Hackers, right? So the Funnel Hackers community is a community of entrepreneurs that focus on sales funnels to build their business. And this is all led by a guy named Russell Brunson. And Russell Brunson, he throws this event every year. It's called Funnel Hacking Live. And this is where entrepreneurs all across the world come together and they just learn about sales funnels. But in the midst of learning about sales funnels, guess what they get to do? They get to network. They get to connect with other like-minded people. And I remember I went to this event and I met one guy, right? I met one guy. Wasn't even nowhere near me, right? In terms of like where I lived or whatever the case it may be. But I met this one guy because I went to this event. And to this day, our relationship has been something that's been amazing. And we've known each other for about, like 3 years now, right? From that relationship, I've gotten so many ideas. I've gotten so many, motivation, confidence, like so much great stuff has come from that relationship. Like I feel like they're pouring into me and I'm pouring into them. So it's like this compounded effect thing or this reciprocal thing, right? And it's something that is amazing. It's something that keeps me up because I know if I'm ever down, I can reach out to them. These are the things that helps entrepreneurs to get through some of the tough times that all of us go through. I think what I see a lot is that people are living in these silos. They're working in these silos. They think, okay, I'm not working in a corporate building or let's say a public school like I was. And as a result, it's just them and their computer. But there's other people just like you. If you took time to connect with them, you'll be able to meet with them and start to see that some of the struggles that you're going through, either they've gone through it or they're currently going through it. And what this does is it helps you to be more accepting of what you're going through. It helps you to be a little bit more easier on yourself. Because here's the thing. There's a saying where people say, don't pour salt on your own wounds, right? Because if you do, it'll make it worse. It'll make it hurt like really, really bad, right? What is the salt when it comes to our mental health? That salt is the uniqueness that we think we have when it comes to our problems. When we think that we're all alone in the world, that no one else has experienced, let's say something failing, right? Let's say you putting a lot of money into something and then it not working the way that you wanted to, and now you gave up on it, right? Like we've all gone through that, right? We all have dreams that have died. When you think that it's because you're different, it's that right there, right? It's that right there that makes the failure sting even more. So to overcome that, to not pour salt on your own wounds, I need you to open up and be more willing to meet new entrepreneurs. When you do that, you'll see that everything that you've experienced is right on par with even the most successful people in your niche. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and review these 3 points that I just made. And again, these are all 3 things that can help an entrepreneur improve their mental health without seeing a therapist. So point number 1, make sure that you're prioritizing purpose over productivity. Everything you can do, you shouldn't do, right? You should do everything that you're meant to do that is purposeful for you. Point number 2 is make sure that you're redefining what happiness looks like, okay? Happiness should not be defined as just an income number, right? Your bottom line, your revenue. Make sure that you're redefining what success and even what happiness looks like for you. And then point number 3, join a community. Join a community. When you do this, you'll be able to find like-minded people that's going to help you get through the tough times. And then you can actually turn around and help them to get through their tough times. And believe it or not, when you're helping other people, that actually makes you feel better about who you are and what you're able to offer to this world. So my name is Coach Wells. I'm a licensed therapist, and thanks for checking out this podcast. And again, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, I'll see you later.